The Crystal Palace fairy tale continues, people. They have just won the Community Shield at Wembley, beating Liverpool on penalties 3-2 after a 2-2 draw in 90 minutes at Wembley Stadium. And listen, they fully deserve it. Who would have thought? There was this kind of curse going around that people talked about before the game, where it said that the team that wins the Community Shield rarely or never wins the Premier League after. So people were kind of hoping, or I'm not going to say Liverpool fans were hoping to lose, but they had that in the back of their minds, thinking, maybe we should not win this. But anyway, Crystal Palace add another trophy to their cabinet. That's their second trophy in 2 months. Oliver Glasner took over in January 2024, and we are now in August 2025, and he has 2 trophies to his name already. More than certain man's managers that have been here for longer in the Premier League. And honestly, you have to give credit to the whole Crystal Palace institution, the football club, the staff, the players, everyone that's had a part in this, well, I'm going to say final, but it is kind of a final because, they won a trophy. The trophy that they won end of the season, winning the FA Cup against Manchester City, and now winning the Community Shield against Liverpool, 2 of the strongest and best teams in the league, 2 teams they are going to face again in the Premier League season, twice. So credit has to be given to Oliver Glasner, credit has to be given to the whole Crystal Palace team. And this game kind of started, with a bit of speculation, because before the game, speculations were going around. Obviously, the Eze to Arsenal links have been existing for weeks, if not months now. And recently, according to reports, Liverpool have shown interest in Crystal Palace's captain, Mark Guéhi. So there's talks of him probably leaving the club and, joining Liverpool. Whether that's going to happen or not, that remains to be seen. But, there was a bit of speculation going on there. So people, including myself, were asking themselves, are Mark Guéhi and Eze going to be focused for this game? And clearly they were, because they delivered another trophy for their football club. So that has to be, it has to be given as a big, big credit. But the game started off in great fashion, but not for Crystal Palace, but for Liverpool, because the new boys were in action. Jeremy Frimpong, Milos Kerkez, Hugo Ekitike, and Florian Wirtz. Who else is a new boy? I think that's it, right? Yeah, I think that's it. But like I said, the game started off like a house on fire. Wirtz gets an assist, assist. It's just one. Wirtz gets an assist, and Ekitike, lovely, lovely finish. And that type of finish, that's actually one of my favorite finishes. Because really and truly, from that position, he really could have gone, let me try and wrap it, top bins, that's a beautiful goal. But he said, no, let me keep it low and hard. Pause. Let me try and hit it low and hard. And let me try and get it. Let me try and put a curve to it. If you look at the goal, the finish has a slight curve to the shot that he took. Beautiful finish. And Ekitike is very good at those type of finishes. Because if you go back and look at his goal against Tottenham in the Europa League when he played for Frankfurt last season, that was almost identical. So expect to see Ekitike have more of those finishes in the Premier League. Drifting out to the left, being in the box, being active in the pockets, receiving the ball on the half turn, turning very well, by the way. That was a really good turn. And if you look at the slow motion again, if you look at the goal, he never took a look at the goal. Those are instincts of a striker. Good strikers know where the goal is. Sometimes, yes, you'll have to take a look, a quick glance even, and then take your shot. But really and truly, when you know where you're positioned and you receive the ball, you just know where you can feel and you can almost smell where the goal is. So credit to Ekitike for that type of goal, man. That was a lovely, lovely finish. And like I said, the game started off like a house on fire. And as a striker, what better way to, be integrated into the team and show yourself to your new fans by scoring in your first game? What better way than to score in your first game? That's absolutely fantastic from Ekitike. I've made some notes so I don't forget what I want to talk about. Then comes the Palace equaliser. Palace equalised. Beforehand, there was a 1v1 from Mateta that he missed, and then Sarr gets brought down by Van Dijk in the box. Mateta takes the penalty. serious penalty. Mateta, man, he was another one that I would have wanted at United over Sesko, in my opinion, but that's a story for a different day. Yeah, so Mateta takes the penalty easy as you like. This guy in front of goal is so calm, and he finishes with such confidence and serenity, and he just knows that the ball will end in the back of the net, and that I fully respect, absolutely respect it. Um, then comes the Frimpong goal. Jeremy Frimpong, obviously another one of the new boys for Liverpool, actually goes past Munoz, tries to put in a cross, and I believe it was a cross. I think he'll come out in interviews and probably try and say it was meant, but we all knew it was meant to be a cross for someone who wasn't there at the back post, and it ends up in the back of the net. But Frimpong, man, he's got burners. Them few first yards, forget it, man. Forget it. You're not catching him, and expect to see more of that. Expect to see more of it in the Premier League season, Champions League, and all of the other cup competitions as well. Expect to see more of that because those first few yards, man. Listen, you can forget it. That was a great goal, by the way. Even though it wasn't meant, that was a good goal. But the work that came beforehand, credit. And it came in the 20th minute. Whilst the fans were clapping, for the 20th minute or throughout the whole duration of the 20th minute for Diogo Jota, who, by the way, got a lovely, lovely tribute before the game, and even the minute silence. It was in the 20th minute, so, that makes it extra special, for Liverpool fans, and I'm sure they'll be talking about this. Then we go to the second half, and the second half, there was a bit less intensity, in my opinion. The game slowed down a little bit. I don't know if it was due to fatigue or, I don't know if it was due to something else, but the game kind of slowed down. The pace of the game slowed down a little bit. Both teams tried to assess situations a bit differently. Liverpool with a bit more possession. Palace, pouncing on the counter attack, being very patient. But their system, their way of playing in that 3-5-2 system is very different to Amarim's 3-5-2 or 3-4-3 or whatever you want to call it. Because Amarim's 3-4-3 and 3-5-2 system requires all of the players, especially the front ones, to press as high as possible to try and win the ball back high up and then create chances from there. With Palace, it's a bit different. Palace actually are happy to concede possession and spend more energy in their counters rather than spending too much energy on pressing and winning the ball high up. Because it costs a lot of energy to do that for 90 minutes. So I think it's very smart from Glasner to play that 3-5-2, but to conserve as much energy as possible so that, instead of giving it your all in trying to press and win the ball back, you're giving it your all actually winning the ball back low sometimes and then going on a counter. And we've seen a couple of counters from Crystal Palace. We've seen a couple of chances as well. I think Sarr had a very good one in the second half when, the cross came in. Mateta gets a touch and then Sarr gets a touch. Eze had a chance, and there were a couple of chances in the first half as well. To be fair, Liverpool had chances as well. That same combination, Florian Wirtz to Ekitike, happened again in the second half. Ekitike, kind of lashes onto it with his left foot, doesn't really hang over the ball, leans a bit back, and the ball goes wide. And the game kind of slowed down, I would say. I was a bit surprised with the substitutions that Arne Slot made to bring in Endo and to bring in McAllister. And I think he'll probably notice it as well, probably, if they have like a debrief or something. It kind of indicated that he was happy to concede or to keep that scoreline and go, you know what, we're 2-1 up. I don't think Palace are going to come back. Let's just keep that scoreline and let's try and win this Community Shield. And I think he underestimated Palace a little bit because Palace came back and it was Cody Gakpo, ironically, who rarely loses the ball, in the build-up, in trying to go on a counter. And Palace pick it up. Wharton with a lovely pass into Ismail Assar. Sarr takes a touch off the post inside the goal and it's 2-2, equalizer. And from that moment, you kind of felt like the momentum shifted a little bit. And I was actually surprised because there was no extra time. I thought there was going to be extra time. And if it was extra time, I would have said, you know what? This is Palace's time to probably, take them opportunities and try and win this game. So, yeah, I was a bit surprised when it came to that. Liverpool going forward, and I want to talk about that before we get to. Actually, no. Let's talk about the VAR. The VAR, I'm not going to lie. Palace, even though they won the Community Shield, if they hadn't won it, that decision would have been a daylight robbery. Because how much more clearer can you be? Like, the arm clearly gets in contact with the ball. I think it was McAllister. That should have been a penalty. That should have been a penalty. But anyway, Palace won it, so they're not going to complain about it. Yeah, so Liverpool going forward. I get that, two new boys joined the club in Ekatike and Florian Wirtz. So, yes, they are trying to acclimatize to each other. Salah with Wirtz and Wirtz with Gakpo, Gakpo with Ekatike, and etc. etc. Everybody's trying to find out what the best combination can be or what the best combinations can be as a team or as a front four, if you like. But I think Arne Slot has to make a decision, especially when it comes to the right-hand side. The left-hand side, I think I've got no issues with that. Gakpo was receiving the ball a lot of times. He was isolating his man, and Gakpo's the type of player, whether he plays a bit more inside and has to dribble past people, he can do that. He's got the technical ability to do that. Whether he isolates his defender 1v1 and goes past him to then put in a cross in or get a shot off, he can do that. Ekatike, we've seen it multiple times during this game. He can do that on the right or on the left. Florian Wirtz, he'll always try to be in those pockets, receive the ball on a half turn, turn quickly, and then boom, go forward. But I am concerned about the right hand side as a neutral. That's just me as a neutral. The right hand side, Arne Slot is going to have to make a decision. Decide to keep Frimpong as high as possible for him to keep that width and have that extra option for him to then have those extra yards to go past his defender and cross it in. Or tell Frimpong to concede a bit of yards and stay back a little bit more to have Salah be that outlet and be a bit more wide for him to be able to isolate the defender or the left back 1v1. He's going to have to make a decision because we've seen a couple of times Salah, because Frimpong was the guy out wide and trying to keep that width, we've seen Salah in that inside pocket trying to receive the ball and trying to dribble past players. And I'll be honest, I've said it before, Salah is a great goal scorer, but not a great footballer. And today we kind of seen it because in those instances where the ball is being played into him and he now has to dribble past his defender with skill and with speed at the same time, he struggles. He struggles, and that's not his forte. I think Salah really thrives in isolating the defender, 1v1, or whatever the player is, but in this instance, a defender. 1v1, and then he kind of does those little stop-start things. He starts and then he stops, and then he'll change direction, starts, stops. He's very good at that. And in them start-stop moments, he, brings the defender to different directions, which gives him like just a tiny bit of a yard, and that's when he gets his shot off. I think Arne Slot, if you're going to bring out the best of Mo Salah, you have to get him in those type of positions. Otherwise, listen, he can try and dribble past people 100 times. It's not going to come off more than 50 because, again, elite dribbling I'm talking about, is not his forte, and that's just him as a player. So Arne Slot's going to have something to think about when it comes to Salah, man, because today it was an anonymous performance, and that brings me to the penalties as well. What on earth were those penalties from Liverpool? I mean, people were laughing at the England women's team taking their pens. What were those pens from Liverpool? I mean, listen, no disrespect to Henderson. Henderson done a great job saving these penalties, but Salah skying it after skying it at Anfield in their pre-season friendly against, what was it, Bilbao or something? Skied it then, skied it today. McAllister, poor penalty. So, I don't know. Those were poor penalties, man. Poor penalties. People laughed at the not even the England women's team. People laughed at the penalties that were taken in the women's Euros final. That was probably as bad. It was probably as bad, if not worse. So, credit to Henderson though. He seems to have a thing for saving penalties at Wembley. Save the penalty against Manchester City. Omar Marmoush, I believe, took the penalty in the FA Cup final. Henderson saved it. Today, saved 2 penalties. He seems to have a thing for playing at Wembley, with sunshine and a hat. He seems to have a thing for that. So big up to I was going to say Jordan Henderson, Dean Henderson. And listen, if Dean Henderson keeps up those type of performances, especially now that they got European football, and I know they're still in that dispute whether they should play Conference or Europa. If they play, or when they play in Europe, and Henderson keeps up those performances, listen, excuse me, Thomas Tuchel, you're gonna have to, make a choice, because if it's me, I'm choosing the goalkeeper who has good performances in Europe over the goalkeeper who has good performances just in the Premier League. That's just me. And Jordan Pickford, for me, is sus anyway. Like, every time he plays, if I was a defender, I'd be worried. I wouldn't have the same worry if I was playing with Dean Henderson. That's just me. So, listen, as Dean Henderson has a long season ahead of him. Long season ahead of him. So, what does that mean for Liverpool? I don't think it means much. I mean, losing the Community Shield is kind of a dent in their armour, because, you want to start off really good, ideally with a Community Shield trophy. You want to send a message to your rivals in the Premier League, to all of the teams, that we are the force to be reckoned with. We are the team to, pay attention to. You want to send that message to people. Starting off like that, I don't know. But, they're going to have to go back to the drawing board and prepare themselves for next week, because they kick off the Premier League season against Bournemouth. But listen, I'll tell you that for free, it's not going to be easy, because I'll tell you what, lose that, all eyes on you. Heavy is the head of the one, was it? Heavy is the head of the one who wears the crown, or something along those lines. Listen, I'm not good with these with these expressions and all of that. But anyway, you get my point. You get what I'm trying to say. Start the season off with anything but a win. Listen, people are going to start looking at you. And there's extra pressure on Liverpool to win this Premier League title back to back, because people are going to look at Liverpool and go, well, Arne Slot done it with a team that's not even his. So now that he does have his team and he spent all of this money, people are expecting Arne Slot to win it again. I'll be honest. It pains me to say as a United fan, but for me, Liverpool are clearly the favourites to win this Premier League title. And if they don't, having spent all this money, serious questions are going to be asked. Not to the point where people are going to say, oh, does he need to be sacked? But people are going to look at you and go, how could you not win the Premier League with your players, but you won it with a team that's not yours? That's just my opinion. So, listen, Crystal Palace won the Community Shield. Shout out to them. Shout out to the whole club, the institution. It remains to be seen what's going to happen with their 2 stars in Eze and Marguehi. I believe they're going to stay, because surely you want to play Europe with Palace. Surely ahead of the World Cup as well. You want to be in the best shape possible playing for a club where you know you're going to perform. If they both leave, I don't know if, well, adaptation is a bit of a big word, but I don't know if the adaptation to the new club is going to happen as smoothly as it would if they just stayed at Palace and performed week in, week out. Do you know what I mean? So if that was me ahead of a World Cup, I would stay put at Palace, have the best season ever, playing European football in front of the Palace fans, who are absolutely amazing, by the way. And after the World Cup, then you can have your move. That's just my opinion. That's how I see it. So, yeah, and I think with them playing for Palace week in, week out and putting in those amazing performances, they're going to have more of a chance being selected to actually go to the World Cup, because they're moving to all of them big clubs. I don't know if they're going to get picked, especially if they don't have good performances, which can always happen. But listen, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Liverpool fans, make yourselves seen in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think of what I've just said, everything I've just talked about? Palace fans, let me know in the comments what you think as well. And yeah, road to 20k, closing in on 18. I think we're just under 300 away from 18k. Season is long, season is starting, the new season is well and truly underway. Loads of content coming, people. I'm excited for the season, man. I'm gassed. I'm absolutely gassed. Next reaction will probably be on Wednesday night, PSG Tottenham Super Cup, UEFA Super Cup reaction. So make sure you stay tuned for that one. Other than that, people, I wish you a lovely Sunday. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'm out. Peace.